Shodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Shodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivedikacharya Sutra Sapta Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada founder Acharya Bhibhati Iskon ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, the last verse, chapter 10, last verse of chapter 10, and also the last verse of the second canto. And the chapter is entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Today is also Bahulashtami, and we'll say something about that at the end. Please repeat. Sūta uvāca rājñā parīkṣito pṛṣṭo yat avocan mahā-muniḥ tadvo bhidhāsye śṛṇuta rājñā praśnānusārataḥ. Sūta uvāca rājñā parīkṣito pṛṣṭo yat avocan mahā-muniḥ tadvo bhidhāsye śṛṇuta rājñā praśnānusārataḥ. Sūta uvāca rājñā parīkṣito pṛṣṭo yat avocan mahā-muniḥ tadvo bhidhāsye śṛṇuta rājñā praśnānusārataḥ. Mataji. Parīkṣitā pṛṣṭo avocan mahā-muniḥ. Sūta uvāca. Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī replied, Rājñā, by the king, parīkṣitā, by Parīkṣit, pṛṣṭaḥ, as asked, yat, what, avocat, spoke, mahā-muniḥ, the great sage, tat, that very thing, vāha, unto you, abhidhāsye, I shall explain, śṛṇuta, please hear, rājñā, by the king, praśna, question, anusārataḥ, in accordance with. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī explained, I shall now explain to you the very subjects explained by the great sage in answer to King Parīkṣit's inquiries. Please hear them attentively. So these are like introductory words for the next chapter. Purport. Any question that is put forward may be answered by quoting the authority, and that satisfies the saner section. That is the system, even in the law court. The best lawyer gives evidence from the past judgment of the court without taking much trouble to establish his case. This is called the paramparā system, and learned authorities follow it without manufacturing rubbish interpretations. And then Srila Prabhupada mentions here the first verse of the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita. Isvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. And then Srila Prabhupada closes the purport with one line. Let us all obey the Supreme Lord, whose hand is in everything, without exception. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 2nd canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So a statement such as Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions is a very strong statement, because we see in the material world many times we are confronted with exaggerations or with manipulations, or we are told that, okay, they say this or that, but you should take it with a grain of salt. Even a Vaishya who prizes his goods as the best goods in the world, it's not even considered a lie, it's kind of accepted, it's kind of understood. That if somebody sells something, that he is convinced that his thing is the best, although in reality it may be far from the best. But at the same time, with the Bhagavatam is very, very different. Bhagavatam is very exact. Bhagavatam is very scientific. Bhagavad Gita are Krishna's words. We don't need to speculate on Krishna's words. Of course, we may need to try to understand Krishna's words or the words of the Bhagavatam, That may be there. But we don't need to judge it, because if we are not able to understand, it's more our own limitation than the imperfection or the incompleteness of the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. It's our shortcoming. And that's why it's so important to study Bhagavatam together in the association of the devotees. And that's why we have a whole setup, a whole system with the spiritual master and with devotional service, with the process of Krishna consciousness, because that all creates a realm of purity, a pure lifestyle, by which if we then, by following a pure lifestyle, if we then study the Bhagavatam, then we are able to get the best out of the Bhagavatam. So it's us, it's our own heart that needs to be cleansed by the process of the chanting, by the process of associating devotees, by the process of studying the scriptures. It's our heart that needs a change. The Bhagavatam is very accurate. Bhagavad Gita is very exact. So it is very nice to that statement. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. And of course, our realization will come according to the efforts we do to progress in Krishna consciousness. So here it is, this verse is spoken by Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī. Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī was the son of Maharshana, and Maharshana was a disciple of Srila Vyasadeva. And Sūta Gosvāmī, was present at the time when Srila Sukadeva Goswami spoke and answered King Parīkṣit's questions. And then later, in another gathering, in another place, Naimisharanya, Sukadeva Goswami is repeating what Srila Sukadeva Goswami, Sūta Goswami is repeating what Srila Sukadeva Goswami replied to King Parīkṣit. So, Srila Prabhupada calls the Srimad Bhagavatam, he calls it sometimes the graduate study of the Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, he calls it a postgraduate study. So that's the order in which we are also supposed to study. First Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this verse, this is actually related because Shaunaka Rishi, after hearing the creation of the universe, then he inquired from Sūta Gosvāmī, because he wanted to know about Vidura. What was the situation with Vidura? Why did he leave his family, and why then ultimately he went back to his family? And different questions which Shaunaka Rishi wanted to hear. So then in this verse basically is referring to the next chapter. It's the first chapter of the third canto, which is entitled Questions by Vidura. So all this will be in detail discussed there. So So Srila Prabhupada speaks about the parampara system, and in the verse, it says in the purport, it's a short purport, but Srila Prabhupada refers to the importance of the parampara system. And he gives the example of a lawyer. A lawyer, when he has a case, he will always, when he has a case to him and he trying to help his client with a particular situation, then he will always try to find a similar hearing in another court, in another city, in another state, and then he will study that case and he will use that as a reference to defend his client in this particular case. So the parampara system is very important, because we have to receive knowledge from the proper source, from the proper disciplic succession, from the authorized source. And it begins with the spiritual master. Spiritual master has to be aligned with his spiritual master and his spiritual master of his spiritual master, etc. And Srila Prabhupada, he said, if there is one thing that I did, I simply followed in the footsteps of my spiritual master. I simply did everything in line with his instructions. So that is, the Guru Parampara is very important, is the backbone of our philosophical Siddhanta. So it is very important that remains very, very pure, very much in line with the scriptures. Like Arjuna, when Krishna spoke to him, Arjuna in the beginning, he had a hard time to accept certain things. Like he could not, he questioned, why do I have to kill people who are teaching me? Why I have to kill people who are so close to me, so dear to me? So in the beginning, it was very hard to understand. So in the beginning, he resisted, he almost fainted, he was very devastated, his state of being, because he felt that Krishna wanted something from him which was not, which he couldn't do. So then Krishna, by speaking as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then of course then he corrected his misunderstandings. So this is the role of the spiritual master, is to, because we all, obviously, when we join Krishna consciousness, we all come with baggage from before we joined and from previous lives. So we have a lot of misconceptions in our heart, in our mind, in our feelings, that are misconstrued, that are not right, that are not purified, and they are hampering us, because it's not just on the surface, it's also deep in our heart. We are actually contaminated by misconceptions, misunderstandings. So just like Krishna, he preached to Arjuna, and then Arjuna in due course of time understood and was able to fully surrender out of himself, because Krishna doesn't want to force, but out of his own higher intelligence, he was able to accept and adjust his misunderstanding. So in the same way, the spiritual master and the association of devotees is so important. And it's we need the spiritual master, we need the sadhus, and we need the scriptures. And with this packet of these three combined, then if we then also are in a process by which all our energy and time is given to advancing in Krishna consciousness through devotional service, then we are in an ideal situation to attack the demons in our heart and to get rid of these misconceptions. And that's why Srila Prabhupada was so, you can say, proud, but proud in a Krishna conscious way, of his Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because still today, and also at that time when Srila Prabhupada printed Bhagavad Gita, there were many Bhagavad Gitas, but many Bhagavad Gitas with misconceptions where Krishna is described as impersonal, as energy, as... So, although Bhagavad Gita is super personal, it's spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, some or others, some people are expert enough to twist that all in a way that it gets an impersonal slant, which Srila Prabhupada calls rightfully, demoniac, because they are twisting the truth, and they are then printing a book which is misleading, misguiding the people who read it. So that's why it's so important of now by the Sankirtan movement and by Srila Prabhupada's efforts, Bhagavad Gita as it is becoming more and more prominent in the world, much more prominent than any other Bhagavad Gita. But it's very important that this is happening because, as Srila Prabhupada, he makes the statement that, there are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demoniac because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. So that's what is happening, and that's why in the Srila Prabhupada puts here, after making that statement of the Guru Parampara, he puts the first verse of Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, 5.1, which translates, he doesn't give the translation, but the translation, Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. This is the Brahma Samhita that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found in South India. So, you know, we can see, although it's so clearly stated, and we can see how important the Guru Parampara is to safeguard these scriptures and to avoid this type of deviations and speculations. Also, when we see the Bhagavatam, the first verse of the Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Srila Vyasadeva, it's very, very clear on the personality of Godhead of Lord Sri Krishna. It says, O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. And it goes further, it's a long verse. So we can see that Bhagavad Gita makes it so clear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam makes it so clear. Chaitanya Charitamrita makes it so clear. And this is very important, that this is clarity, this original, straightforward, objective clarity is safeguarded. And that's the role of the Guru Parampara in the first place, and it's the role of all of us to help to safeguard this understanding. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to a slap. You know, when you want to wake somebody up and he doesn't wake up, you give him a little, not a slap like this, but a little touch, little slap. So, first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is understood to be that slap, to be that wake-up call. It's a wake-up call from God. And we all went through that, especially the generations of devotees, when you are bewildered, and then at some point of time you meet a devotee, or you get a book, and then you start reading, and then you are shocked because for the first time you come in contact with something so super clear. It can be bewildering. It can be, you can be wondering, is this really true, or this or that? But the fact is, it's a kind of a slap. It's like a wake-up call to Krishna consciousness. And the second canto is considered the cutting of attachments. That's what is happening a lot. If we study the second canto of the Bhagavatam, it's a lot about cutting our attachments, because the attachments are obstacles in our path. And that's why cutting is done not by pampering, but by speaking the truth. And that's why sometimes sadhu is cutting. It's not always saying what you want him to say. He is saying what should be said. And for some people, when a spiritual master gives instructions, sometimes it can feel a little uncomfortable. But if the uncomfortable means that we feel uncomfortable about our illusion, then that's a very healthy way, because it brings us to reality. It brings us to the truth. It brings us where ultimately anyway we should come. And that's the role of the sadhus. That's the role of that with their words they help us to cut our attachments to the material world. And that was the role of Krishna also with Arjuna. Krishna pierced through his attachment to his social, mental attachment. Krishna pierced through it and told him the truth. We have to cut off, ultimately we have to come to the point that we cut off the attachment of our mind, because our mind is attached to so many things, and we have to cut there. Of course, it has to be done in a palatable way. When we are preaching to others, we have to do it in a nice way, palatable way. You know, not like some people say, if you don't listen to me, you go to hell. That doesn't really help the person by saying that. You have to explain what is wrong, in a straightforward but also in a nicely packed way, a nicely educated way. So in this second canto, there are also explained the stages of the 3 stages of spiritual advancement, which is because when Lord Brahma was created, and after a very long meditation, then he wanted to know some questions, and from these questions came then the Chatur Sloki from the Bhagavatam. That's also happening in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the Chatur Sloki. And so the 3 stages of spiritual advancement are Sambandha, and then Abhideya, and then Prayojana. Of course, there is also the 9 stages of spiritual advancement which Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī is describing in the Nectar of Devotion, but they enhance each other. I mean, but the very simple way forward is Sambandha, means that we come in contact with the Lord, we acknowledge the Lord, and we acknowledge our relationship with the Lord. And we also acknowledge that we are in the material world. Right? So it's Ishvara is the Lord, the Jiva, we are both eternal, but as the Jiva, we have very limited power, but we are also eternal. And Prakriti is the material world. So in these 3 elements, we recognize that our Sambandha means we recognize the Lord, we recognize our position, and we recognize the temporary material world. And then we have abhidhāsye, means we start to cultivate that relationship. Because it's not enough to know that the Lord is there, that we have an eternal relationship with Him. That's fine, that's important, that's the starting point. That's the, śraddha, that's the faith that we have, and that we have to have in order to start our spiritual life. But it doesn't end there. We have to cultivate that relationship. And in order to cultivate that relationship, we as the jiva have to come closer to the Isvarat, closer to the Lord. Through the process of the devotional service, through sadhana bhakti, through proving every day I chant my 16 rounds without fail. In this way, I prove my connection. I prove, or I try to prove, that I'm serious about spiritual life and that I'm serious about wanting to connect myself with Krishna. So that is the abhidhāsye, that's the cultivation of the relationship. That means we are acting according to our constitutional position. Because constitutional position is that we are an eternal servant of the Lord. So we are acting on it by the chanting, by doing devotional service, by having a proper sadhana, by waking up early. These are all efforts we do, but by doing these efforts, we are establishing that bond, that relationship. We are making that relationship as the jiva, we are making the relationship with the Isvara thicker and stronger. And then with the aim to go to prayojana, with the aim to come to the perfection of that relationship. And that perfection of that relationship is then kind of a result of our hard work and determination. And we have to deserve it. And then prayojana then will come to the loving relationship with the Lord. So in the 9 processes of bhakti, as described by Śrī Sūta Gosvāmī, we can say that sadhu and sadhu sangha is the sambandha, is the beginning, the connection, the trust, the faith, the relationship. And then the abhidhāsye, cultivation of the relationship, is like the bhajana kriya, and then anartha nivritti is part of that, and decreasing our unwanted attachments. Then slowly nistha comes, ruchi, start to get a taste, and then we come to prayojana, to the perfection of the relationship, where we become attached to the Lord, attached to the process of Krishna consciousness, attached to serving Krishna. And then bhava and prema are the then highest level of relationships, pure relationship between the Lord and his devotees. So these are all described in the second chapter, and sambandha is like somebody, you know, with sambandha there is some faith, but it's like when you want to take a step, but you are not sure that the ground is it's really ground, or is there water, 1 meter deep water. Then you put your foot a little bit like, but you don't. You keep on your left leg. You keep your weight on your left leg, and with your right foot you move a little bit forward, and you touch. Is this okay or not? And then through the process of abhidhāsye, more and more, you've put your foot down, and then you realize that, okay, it's okay. And then your weight is shifting. And then when slowly you come to the prajñā, to the full faith that, yes, I can put my full weight on my right foot because it's going to be all right. So it's a little bit like a transition from sambandha, abhidhāsye, prajñā, a transition, and an internal transition also, a huge internal transition. Because in the beginning, we start off with few signs where we feel, okay, we can have some faith here, so let us try more and more and more, and then we see that it works, and then we can ultimately give our full trust and our full heart to what we are doing. So I will also read something in relation. I will stop here with this topic, and I wanted to read something in relation to Bahulastami. It's a pastime. It was recited by Ramayaswami, and so it is in relationship to Radhakund, Shyamkund. And as we know, originally Shyamkund was made because Lord Krishna killed Aristasura. And because he killed Aristasura, then when he approached Srimati Radharani for this loving relationship, then she refused. She said, "Oh, you're impure. You killed a bull. You know, this is adharma. You did something really bad. So you have to first take bath in all the sacred rivers before you come again, approach me again." So and then Krishna put his foot down, called all the rivers, and took bath. And then after that he claimed that, well, I'm now pure, but you are impure because you are associated with the demoniac entity, with the demoniac being, with the Aristasura. So then I will read it. It's all here. But Bahulastami is then something more behind that. After killing a bull demon named Aristasura, Krishna approached Radharani to engage in his loving affairs. However, she rebuked him, stating he was impure because of committing the sin of killing a bull, the symbol of religion. She suggested that to counteract this sin, he should bathe in all the sacred rivers. Krishna, being eager to engage in loving affairs with Srimati Radharani, immediately shoved his lotus feet into the ground, making a large hole, and called all the sacred rivers to enter into it. They appeared before him and formed Shyamkund, the bathing place of Shyam, one who is the color of a dark rain cloud. After bathing, Krishna stated that he had become pure by bathing in Shyamakund, but that the gopis had become impure having sided with the demon Aristasura, even though he appeared in the form of a bull. Then Radharani, along with some of her gopi friends, broke their bangles and dug a hole with the broken pieces, but there was no water. So Krishna laughed. The gopis then formed a line to the Manasi Ganga and started to fill the hole with water that was passed from one gopi to another. So they formed a line from Manasi Ganga to Radhakund. And then at that time, all the sacred rivers again arrived in person and requested permission to enter into Radharani's kunda, which they did after receiving Radharani's blessings. Bahulastami is a beautiful pastime wherein the cow Bahula takes shelter of Krishna on the banks of Shyamakund in Vrindavan. Are deities of a cow and her calf, a Brahmana, a tiger, and Krishna, all of which reminds pilgrims about the beautiful pastime of Bahula. Once, the cow Bahula was peacefully grazing when a tiger attacked her. Bahula requested the tiger to allow her to return to her calf, feed it, and bid it farewell before it made a meal of her. Agreeing to her proposal, the tiger waited for her return. In the meantime, the cow went to her master, a Brahmana, and to her calf, and told them what had happened. When they heard her pitiful story, they volunteered themselves to go in her place as the tiger's meal. Bahula declined their selfless offer, but in the end all three, cow, calf, and Brahmana, returned to offer themselves to the tiger, who was delighted by this exceedingly favorable turn of events. So the tiger was very happy to see three people coming. While the tiger contemplated which victim to eat first, Lord Krishna appeared, the presiding deity of Dharma and the guardian of Vraj. Holding his chakra in one hand, Krishna assured the tiger of everlasting fame if he were to show leniency to the cow and its skin for their truthful and honorable conduct. The tiger released Bahula from her promise, and the calf and the Brahmana were rejoiced on their mother being spared and felt blessed by Krishna's merciful intervention. Being so pleased with Bahula's truthfulness and integrity, Krishna named the forest after her, Bahulavan, and blessed her to become his consort. Thus, in her next birth, Bahula became one of Krishna's wives. This day was also named after her, Bahulastami. So that's the pastime of Bahulastama. Yeah. So we'll stop here. There is some comment or some...
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So you mentioned previously in your lecture that the absolute truth is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam. All the tattva we can ask for are found in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there is only, it seems that there is only one truth for each tattva. But sometimes in our society, we find that the truth can be divided in different opinions. By example, the Jivatma or Bhumandala, some different topics. So how can we really have the final siddhanta about each of those tattvas with different opinions?
Srila Prabhupada established the GBC as the ultimate final word and authority in regard to this. And then of course the GBC themselves, they have like committees, like there is a Shastrik advisory committee. So if some dilemma comes up in some particular situation, then usually the GBC, EC, they request the devotees who are qualified in this particular field, like the devotees or members of the Shastrik Advisory Committee, to look into this, to study it, and then to come with their understanding, which sometimes takes 6 months, 9 months, 1 year to come up with, and in this way, it's so that's how Srila Prabhupada established in ISKCON the way forward for this type of dualities, difficulties, difference of opinion that come up. And of course, the devotees always discuss, because to understand the Shastra fully, it's a process. It's by studying, it's by discussing with devotees who also have studied, and in this way, it enhances our understanding. It deepens our understanding of the Shastras. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. In the Purport, Srila Prabhupada says we have to follow Krishna's order. So, at the last line. So, Prabhuji, is it like in general Prabhupada is saying, or is there some specific order which is there in the Purport, or?
Well, because he is giving the first verse of the Brahma Samhita, which is describing the Lord as the cause of all causes, and so. But he is not putting that translation. But he is saying, "Let us all obey the Supreme Lord, whose hand is in everything without exception." So I would take it that, rather than putting the translation of that verse there, it's like a concluding line. Since he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, since he is, all and all, since he is the cause of all causes, since he is eternally existing, not just in material world, but before and after, always. So then he is encouraging us, let us all obey the Supreme Lord, whose hand is in everything. And then as if everything is not enough, he says, he adds without exception. So it's like 100%, not 100%, but 108%, that type of statement. So thank you very much. We will stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.